And it looks like we are live.
Awesome.
We do have a lot to talk about, but before we jump into it, is there anything you want to catch up on?
Um, no, not so much. I'm starting to work with the TBDC a little bit, so I'm excited to see where that goes. The Toronto Business Development.
Every time you
But
say that, I always think of the
the Toronto
Toronto
School Board.
district. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
do
yeah.
stuff
Or
that.
the Realty Board, or the anyways. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, how about you?
Oh no, I just prepping for Futurist after party and the Futurist upcoming Futurist conference. Looks like it's going to be fun. I've arranged for a couple of interviews I'm planning on doing at the event, including the Dean, the CEO of Wonderfy, talking about all
That's
this
awesome.
stuff they've been doing and what's next. So I'm looking forward to talking to a bunch of startups there, and obviously our after party.
Yeah, this year, the first night they have a yacht party, which is going to be cool too. So
Yeah, I saw that. I'm just gonna no thanks. I'm an old
uh,
man, and that's great. It's gonna be
all good.
35 degrees, or it's gonna be thunderstorm, and you're gonna be stuck on that boat, and it's just not for me.
It's
It
all
gets
good.
back at midnight or something, 10 p.m. to
I'll tell
midnight.
you how it goes. I'll tell you
Yeah,
how it goes.
absolutely. I got a after party and stuff to prep for. I've got things to
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
and sleep. Maybe that might help.
I just have to show up to the after party, so or
So
help set up. Yeah, let's
let's
dive in.
jump into this. I think the first one here is Quebec is executing its innovation plan.
Yeah.
And what do you think, John? Will it play off?
Well, the thing is the thing with Quebec is they've always been kind of at the forefront. Like they've always had better incentives than other provinces that are easier to get than other provinces. Alberta, for example, just it's ridiculous how difficult they make things. Um, but I'm hopeful. Now, the thing is it's an ambitious effort to execute, because it will hinge on several factors, including effective collaboration between the government, private sector, and educational institutions. But that being said, they do have a track record of successful incentives, successful initiatives that have come. I don't know so much of the failed ones that they've had, um, but unless they get some more negative press about the French language, I don't see. I don't. And they get the collaboration. I think this is be good.
Yeah, it looks like their investment includes 1.3 billion in budgetary appropriation, 600 million in investment capital financing, 75 million dedicated to Quebec infrastructure plan. So this goes for the next few years. Are they targeting a specific sector?
I think so. So it's dedicated to sectors with high growth potential. So, for instance, the AI sector is receiving considerable attention. Um, the research centers, fostering partnerships between universities, tech companies, life sciences domain, healthcare, clean tech. And the one thing to note, so there's a program called, I think it's federal, I don't know, it's a super cluster called Scale AI. And if you're in Quebec, it's actually a 50-50 split as opposed to anywhere else in Canada, which is 60-40, or 40-60, however you want to say it. So that just goes to show you like the difference that Quebec does, just to give you a real example there. So yeah, a few key sectors there.
I took a little bit more of a dive into this, and it says they're really making it easy to apply on different levels. It's not just grants for startups, there's mentorships, there's educational programs, it's for incubators, accelerators. That seems to be different than what usually happens in Ontario. It seems to be hard and lots of hoops to jump through. Is it really easy, or are they just saying that?
So I'll tell you right now, the Shred program is a little complex as far as how to claim it, just because there's different tiers and different things like that. But as far as grants go, there what was it? E-business was very easy to apply for, and there was another one through Investissement Québec. Can't remember what it was called, but that was an easy one to apply for. So, um, given their track record, yes, I could see that them making that claim is viable, 100%.
So we know a bunch of Ontario startups. Is there any reason they shouldn't be applying for these? Do they have to
Yeah,
physically be there? Do they just have to have an office there? They have to be registered there? How does it work?
yeah. So it all depends. I know it all depends because grants are all over the place. There are some grants where you have to have your headquarters there. There are some Quebec grants where you just have to have an actual physical office. Some say you just need a presence, which could be a virtual office. But I'm guessing that if they're going to, I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing. There's going to be three different types of grants that have expectations of office location and things like that, just like they have in the past. Honestly, here's the thing. Um, for Quebec, they've got a positive history of deploying these things and following through for the most part on what they're seeing. So I don't see that. I don't see a big um, a a big uncertainty here with them executing on this, except for if they don't get the buy-in from the private sector. That's the only thing I could see being the pushback.
Well, it looks like the Quebec Innovation Plan outlines five strategic priorities, um, each with specific initiatives. Excel in research, science, and technology. Create environment and conduce. Create an environment conducive to innovation. Support in-company investments and commercializations. Develop talent and innovation culture, and prioritize high-impact sectors and catalyst projects.
Yeah,
And that means all sorts of things, including the last one,
it means
artificial intelligence, quantum
yeah,
technology, cybersecurity.
yeah, it means a whole bunch of things, and that's good. It means that they're not just focusing on one specific sector. They're not just focusing on one specific initiative. They're diversifying, um, and then maybe one fails, and then they determine that okay, no, and then they focus on other things. So this is great. The only thing is the long term viability and impact obviously remain to be seen, but um, uh, again, I have every faith in this being successful for the most part. And for me, successful means 80-90% of the plan gets done or gets implemented and has a positive impact.
Well, Quebec's innovation plan overall has already yielded impressive results with great startups like Kinova Robotics.
Yeah,
They specialize in developing robotic solutions for various industries, including healthcare and manufacturing. With the innovation plan from Quebec, they expanded product line and entered new markets, showcasing the potential of Quebec's innovation ecosystem. Uh, One that's near and dear to my heart, Element AI. I know the
yeah,
founder there, or one of them. Founded in Montreal, Element AI has become a leader in artificial intelligence. The company benefited from the Quebec's infrastructure, research infrastructure, and access to funding, allowing it to grow rapidly and attract significant investments. They
yeah,
raised over $200 million, and it's funny. The Patrick Pierre Baudouin, who was one of the co-founders, he wrote a really good article about what happens when you overraise, when you raise too much money,
yeah.
and the downsides of that. It's a good one. You should go check it out because they raised over 200 million. He's now running. I'm gonna say Waverly AI, which is an
Okay,
interesting, another interesting thing. And then Lightspeed POS is
yeah.
another great startup out of Quebec who benefited from these types of things. So they have a track record of producing high end startups.
Yeah, they do. Not only high end startups, but the other sector that they're very well known for is the video game sector. Them and BC are the two that have attracted a lot of the big names, more Quebec than BC, I would say. So I'll be interested to see if there's any impact on the video game sector, any impact to the digital media tax credit in Quebec. That we'll have to see.
Yeah, and we'll have to see long term where the benefits actually come from. We talk about why Toronto is not one of the top 10 cities in the world. the ecosystem, the investment, the support, and Quebec seems to be taking a
This is what
leap
Ontario needs
forward.
to do.
Yes.
This is what Ontario needs to do. Even Toronto needs to do it. They need to come up with some sort of plan like this. I know there was the uh, Canada Innovation Council. Can't remember what it. Damn it, I can't remember the exact name, but that's federal. Ontario needs a plan like this. Absolutely, if they want to, like we've got great tech hubs that are flailing right now, I would say, and something needs to be done in Ontario for sure.
Any final words on this?
No, just Ontario, listen up.
All right, let's jump to this next one, which is interesting. Intel chips are degrading, they're having issues, they're failing, and gamers are reportedly returning these CPUs in droves. So lots going on here. What were your initial thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I'm not surprised. I've heard recently that Intel's been having a lot of issues with different chips. I think this is relating to specifically to the what model of these are chips. But anyways,
The
13,
i9s.
14 gen. Yeah, the i9s, but 13, 14 gen. Um, so I'm concerned about this. But it's not surprising because Intel is kind of, to me, falling behind with chip manufacturing nowadays. I think they've gotten complacent. I do think that they did come up with an AI chip. I can't remember. That might be good, but as far as this goes, this is not good for them. Um, the having rapid degradation of CPUs is not okay, and um, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that this is happening. That it's such a wide issue. Like I know they've had issues in the past, but nothing. I don't think to this extent. Or what do you remember anything to this extent, Craig, in the past?
Well, I don't know the numbers for this. Like everyone, this is reportedly returning. We were talking about earlier how um, they've admitted some things, like there was some oxidization issues. This has been an ongoing discussion as to okay, what's happening here? Because they said, okay, you got to lower the voltage, and they started blaming the motherboard manufacturers who were trying to and pointing the fingers at each other. I think this is a bit this is a big issue for Intel because people are leaving and everyone's suggesting
Yeah,
other processors because these are the highest end processors for gamers and whatnot. And um, they're overheating, they're failing, they're shorting out, the performance are
yeah,
degrading because as soon as it reaches a certain heat point because they overheat, the good motherboards and whatever are throttling them backwards, throttling them down. And if they, don't. So they claim they found some fixes for this, but I don't know what that means. Are they going to do a recall? Are they going to just fix those that come in or not?
you know what? So I was right. There was an article. Sorry, you and I were talking earlier. Um, they did come out with a. They said that it was a microcode problem, which is the assembly language or machine code for the chips. And yes, so that's what it was. So they did come out and say that they are releasing a patch for it. Um, that the elevated voltage was a key element in the instability issue. I'll send you the article here. It's Tech Radar, but yeah. So they did figure out that it was their code. It was the code on how the voltage is regulated, and there was a bug keeping the code or keeping the voltage at a certain level or something. I can't remember, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
Intel
it was.
admits elevated voltage is primary cause for unstable CPUs, and thankfully a fix is coming soon. So, uh, but we've
So
seen this.
thankfully,
Like, go
yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Well, when the Intel Pentiums came out, they had that they had the Pi issue 3.14 where it didn't do math
Oh yeah.
properly beyond a certain point. Um, Past two decimal places, then they had to reduce, put a software fix out for that.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. The good thing about this is that it's not a hardware issue. So it's not going to cost them a whole bunch. Obviously, it's going to cost them as far as a reputation, but at least this is a patchable problem.
And okay, say patchable problem. Is every motherboard going to support updating the firmware on the? This is a firmware on the CPU issue.
Yeah, it must. I would almost guarantee that, like, the name brand motherboards, absolutely. I would say
So,
so. Yeah. So what they said was their analysis of return processes confirmed that the elevated operating voltage is stemming from a microcode algorithm, resulting in incorrect voltage requests to the processor.
huh? So there's lots going on here because this mentions here that the oxidization is a separate issue.
Okay. So yeah, maybe that's another issue, but it could be the oxidation could be because of the voltage being too high,
Yes.
the chip getting too hot, and
So that and they previously issued a patch for that. So a second patch is necessary to adjust the chip's voltage from going too high on top of that boost issue. With any luck, this will resolve the issue. So the question is, when they start throttling these things, is the performance on these CPUs going to be the same?
I don't think they're throttling it. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about microcode is like it's an intermediary layer between the CPU and the programmer, like the instruction set. Okay, it's like the machine instructions. So I think it was a it's a bug. I don't think it's going to affect the performance, but I think it will just based on what I've read. I think it'll, if anything, it'll increase performance. I think.
Yeah, and Intel says the oxidation issue is in the past. It only pertains to earlier 13th gen CPUs. It was addressed
Yeah.
last year, apparently, but I'm
Okay.
not 100% sure because they're still talking about it now. But I'm
Yeah, but
saying here is, why is the voltage going too high? Like it is obviously spec'd to run within this range, and if you're turning the voltage down, you're also turning down the performance of the CPU.
no. What it's doing, and I don't know the details of it, but so it is it's it, the algorithm is resulting in incorrect voltage requests to the processor. So um I don't think that it's a too high voltage or too low voltage. I think it's something. Well, yes, it has to do with that, but um, I just think it's more of a just regulating the voltage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot going on here, but I guess people need to be aware if they have one of these latest generation i9s, they really or are thinking about it, they really need to be looking at these things, taking a look to see. Don't buy one until they're resolved. Um,
Yeah.
the i9 14900 and 13900 processors.
Um,
Randomly checking
yeah.
out
It's
customer
crazy that
reviews.
like this is their at their highest um their most I guess their best quality chip, I
Yeah.
guess.
It's their most
Yeah.
performer. So we'll have to keep an eye on this because they say they found the problem. It's resolved. There's a number of other issues still being talked about that they say are resolved, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I was trying to find more to talk about that, but so if we just dive a little bit in, the root cause appears to be an issue in the mic. It controls the power management functions of the CPU, right?
Yep.
So they revealed that the voltage levels were higher than necessary, is what they're saying. So yeah, I think if anything, I don't think that this will affect performance. I think in a negative way. If anything, it'll affect it in a positive way.
Yeah, so there's some signs before you experience the major performance, significant performance losses occurs. You'll see performance drop, noticeable decrease in processing speed, especially during demanding tasks, overheating and increased temperatures during normal operation, system crashes and instability, frequent blue screens of death, system reboots,
Mm,
crashes, or increased power consumption. The CPU may start drawing more power than usual, leading to higher electricity bills or potential strain. So these
yeah,
are stuff that you can symptoms you'll see before it really starts to hit you.
yeah. And I honestly don't know what the process is to update the microcode on the CPU. So for those of you listening, like just yeah, just be prepared if you're having issues to find out, because it can be quite an onerous task. I know updating the firmware can be difficult sometimes, or sorry, the BIOS can be difficult sometimes on your computer. Just make sure you do it right, because you could really mess up your CPU as well.
So if you've identified Intel i9 CPU degradation on your machine, there are several steps you should be taking, like adjusting the settings in the BIOS, tweaking the settings such as voltage caps and load line calibration can help stabilize the CPU. Improve cooling solutions. So if you got better thermal paste or CPU fans, that kind of thing, with stuff you can put in your case. Underclocking or reducing power limits. Uh, Regularly maintain cleaning, blow the crap out of it so that the air flows well. And just make sure you professionally repair it if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. So apparently, I just looked. It's the same, almost the same thing as updating the BIOS, updating the microcode. So
Yeah, seems pretty straightforward.
yeah, pretty straightforward. No.
All right. Sounds normal. Just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of all of this and some of the preventative measures you can take, and take a look at that for that update for the microcode that's available for your motherboard and or CPU.
Yeah, this is scary. It just I'm curious to see, because this is a code issue. This isn't a hardware issue. So I guess that we don't have to talk about chip manufacturing from this perspective, but we'll just move on from it.
Yeah, Ken, thanks for the shout out here. Is this only the case when CPUs is overvolted? If I were just to leave computer at stock, would I encounter this? You could encounter this. That's why I mentioned
Yeah,
those. You don't overclock it just in case, but ensure proper ventilation and cooling, regular um, maintenance, blowing out the stuff, putting in increasing cooling fans,
yeah,
stable power supplies, put it on like a UPS so your power is not fluctuating, especially if you're in the storms we're experiencing in Ontario. Like they just come out of nowhere in the last couple of weeks. So just be aware. Thanks for watching, Ken.
yeah. Yeah. Just the thing is it has to do with the voltage to the CPU, so it could affect instructions. It could affect a whole bunch of different things that you might not even know, intermittent problems. So even just with normal daily use.
So the next thing here, let's jump
Yeah,
on to it, is Apple's. There we go.
their
Apple's new
AI model.
4M AI model. And is it set to blow away Anthropic and all these other ones, John?
I don't know. So the thing is like, this should be big news. And I'm all over tech blogs and all that during the day. And I haven't heard much about this, which is weird. So apparently they launched a public demo of its 4M. Is now, I don't know if the AI model stands for Apple Intelligence or Artificial Intelligence model, um, but apparently it's a significant development. VentureBeat and other sources have described it as a versatile AI capable of functioning across 21 different modalities, apparently making it one of the most flexible AI systems to date. So this would be good to replace their crappy Siri, which they've had for many, many years, which does nothing for users. But yeah, so there's a public demo which I'm gonna see if I can find it and mess around with it. But we'll have to see. Like, Apple's really late to the game in this, so I'm curious to see if they're late because they've been working on something phenomenal and this is going to blow everything out of the water, or are they late and they have a lot of catching up to do?
Yes, I think they're late. They have a lot of catching up to do, but it looks like they have a different approach on some place, and they're open sourcing a bunch of it, which might be how they're gonna catch up, or how their
Yeah,
plan is to catch up.
yeah.
Um,
Apparently, oh, go ahead.
but Oh, good.
No, so apparently they leveraged advanced neural network architectures and training techniques to achieve the performance and versatility. But um, it'll be interesting to see how it holds up. I know there's a site that benchmarks and ranks all of these AI models. I have to find that again to see if they've done that to this one to see where it ranks.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on, I know people are starting to use it, and you can download and start using it on your system, and I think there are definitely benefits. The things that I'm looking forward to is actually being able to run the AI locally and doing almost all the functions locally, not even needing potentially an internet connection depending on what you're doing. Or, not necessarily having to go out to a third party. You can go search the internet and do certain things based on what you're asking it to, but not necessarily rely on Anthropic or OpenAI or even going out to Apple to get more information, but being able to do stuff for you locally.
Yeah, and so this is one of the advantages of Apple controlling everything within their ecosystem, right? So now with their new chips, they're probably have built this to perform best on their own silicon, and so this is um, this is one of those where like so for those of you that don't know, like if you want to run a local LLM, um, for the most part you're gonna it's gonna struggle, but for this one it seems like there is potential for it to run locally because of Apple's control over the silicon and everything else in the ecosystem.
Yeah, and their multimodal model basically, it understands different kinds of information at the same time, like pictures, words, sounds, videos, and it helps you do really cool things. Like it's suggesting here, the approach could lead to more coherent and versatile AI applications across the Apple ecosystem. Imagine Siri understanding and responding to complex multi-part queries involving text, images, spatial information, or say Final Cut Pro automatically generating and editing video content based on natural language discussions.
Yeah. So
So we've seen some of that, but like, Sora can do the video piece, and ChatGTP can do the text piece, and some of these Dolly can do image piece. But they're saying we're going to do it all in the one modality, one product.
yeah, and thanks to Ken for sharing with us the link from Hugging Face that might be able to mess around with. That'll be interesting. So I'll have to see. Oh no, they're just talking about it. But no, they've got the GitHub repos too. So interesting. I'll have to explore that a little bit more. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I see it in the private chat here, but it doesn't look like there's much on that page.
No, there isn't. It's just yeah, but it's cool. Predict.
So while Apple Intelligence focuses on personalized on-device AI experiences across iPhones, Macs, the Vision Pro headset, 4M hints at the company's long-term AI ambitions, making the ability to manipulate 3D scenes based on natural language. Maybe you're doing recording something, and it could automatically put something into the recording while you're doing it. There's a lot of things that are interesting potentials with this and all the
Yeah.
other products as they go neck and neck and neck.
Yeah, I'm curious how they trained it though too.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Apple's dual approach, practical AI for consumers, cutting edge research, and the 4M signals a clear intent to lead AI revolution while maintaining its hallmark user privacy. So I wonder how much they're going to keep open and how much they're going to have closed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who wrote this article again.
This one is from VentureBeat.
Yeah, I think they love Apple, but we'll have to see.
I've got two or three other sites here, but they look like they're going to the same
Yeah.
kind of place. So, yeah, again, I want to take a look at this. When I say take a look at it, I want to download the beta. I want to get it installed in my on
On
my
your Mac.
Mac, and I want to see what we can do with it.
Yeah.
So, inside Apple 4M-21, Apple's small model that works across 21 modalities. So we're going to end up taking a look at all these and seeing, again, they just got a demo out there, and I'm starting to see people who have taken a look at some of the open source and started to use it, but it's just coming out now. So we'll have to wait and see how good it actually is.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
All right, let's take a look at any final words on this one before we jump to the next one.
No, I'm really, really, really curious to see how it stacks up against the other LLMs. So we'll have to see.
So this next one, Photo Bucket is stealing your biometrics. So Photo Bucket, it's a picture store. You can upload your pictures and stuff and store them up there and do certain things with them. But did you know that in their EULA, they're allowed to take and sell your biometrics? So, for example, if I take a picture of an event, Startup Investor Drinks, of the crowd in a nice high resolution photo and upload it to Photo Bucket, it's now taking retina scans, fingerprint scans. If I label people, if it's me and Catherine at the beach, it knows that's Catherine, and it's got Catherine, as much information about Catherine's biometrics as possible, and then relations to me, and selling that data, even my information. So like you upload a picture, and if it's high resolution enough, it's taking your retina scan, your fingerprints, and everything else, and saying, "Hey, this is Craig."
That's nuts. Now, are they scanning the internet too and finding high quality pictures and using those and scanning the retinas and all that sort of stuff, or is this only photos that you're up like this just like if they're doing this with photos that are uploaded, like what's to stop them from doing this from
Well,
publicly accessed photos too?
true. I don't know if they're doing it from publicly accessed photos. Um,
Right, that's just where my brain goes, right? But
of of course, and why wouldn't it? The thing is, though, it's in the EULA. If you upload photos, they're allowed to do all this stuff. Again,
that's
another
true.
terms of service that you should really be taking a look at it.
Mhm.
So they're collecting things like fingerprints, facial recognition, voice patterns, even iris scans. Um,
That's scary as shit.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
biometric data is
Yeah.
increasingly used for securing devices, personalizing user experiences, and streamlining authentication process. So, PhotoBucket's updated terms of service now include provisions for biometric data usage. Under these new terms, users are automatically opted in to allow PhotoBucket to use their biometric information for various purposes, including AI training and data monetization. This has raised alarms about the ease with which companies can collect and utilize sensitive data without explicit user consent. Users must be proactive in understanding these terms, and opting out of Photo Bucket biometric usage requires account deletion, a step many reluctant to take due to inconvenience and loss of their stored data. The opt out mechanism highlights the importance of reading and comprehending service agreements to make informed decisions about data privacy. Like, we really need to start taking a look at this EULA stuff, and maybe there needs to be a website, maybe there is out there that is warning people before here.
Yeah.
We will run AI through these EULAs. Before you buy, here's what you need to know.
Yeah, this
Kind
is
of.
scary. This is another one of those corporate entities. Like there's no opt out button. There's no way to contact them directly and deal with them. Like there's it's crazy.
And I wrote a blog deep dive. The post will be the link to that will be in the video notes later, and in the podcast notes if you're listening, to go through all the stuff here, how to opt out and that kind of stuff. But most of it looks like you have to delete your account if you want to opt out. So if you're using PhotoBucket,
And
they're taking,
if you
yeah.
delete your account, is it actually deleted?
But this also goes to more, right? It's not just you. So, for example,
Yeah.
anybody taking a picture of you at any event anywhere and uploading it is now, they're taking your information, whether you've given them permission or not, and off you go.
Yeah. That's scary. That's not okay.
Of course, it's not okay, and we need to stand back to this. Like, Disney apparently says they can, literally kill you in their park, and there's nothing you can do about it because you have a Disney Plus subscription, which is
That is
crazy.
scary.
You know, Adobe says they own everything you create, and they can do whatever they want, resell it, take it, shut you down, do whatever. And they're getting sued by the FTC, Federal Trade Commission,
FTC.
FTC.
Yeah.
And hopefully these other ones will too, because they really need to stop trying to do this to us.
Yeah. Yeah, but like, let's hope something happens. Let's hope something happens of Adobe. Let's hope something happens of Disney Plus. Let's hope something happens from Photo Bucket. But again, I don't think anything. There's not going to be any drastic changes unless someone takes a hard line.
Yeah, I'm sure this doesn't quite comply with the European General Data Public Regulation,
Oh,
so I'm sure they're
definitely
going to
not.
get sued. So
Yeah,
I'm waiting to see that.
yeah, definitely does not. I like. Yeah, I love Europe. I love how forward they are, forward thinking. Obviously, some of the policies are not perfect, but at least they're trying. At least they're trying to implement things that protect people, which I love. Maybe we should move to Europe.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We can say all sorts of things about whose country's better, who's oh, it's not letting me show this thing, but I'll get to it in a minute. Let's jump to this next one. Startups want you to ride balloons to space. What's
I
going on,
love
John?
this.
Yeah.
I love this because it probably makes this more accessible for people to get to space. So they're exploring the idea of sending tourists to the stratosphere using balloons. So it's like this big um, spherical thing that gets pulled up by a balloon, um, and it'll take you up to 100,000 feet above Earth, which will provide you a panoramic view of the planet from the edge of space. So it's still in the early stages, but like if they can validate this technology, if they can develop this technology and deploy it, it doesn't seem like it's going to be too costly for people.
Yeah, this stratosphere tourism and exploring the edges of space with high altitude balloons scares the bejesus out of me. But that's me because I'm an anti-height person. I feel like I'd be sitting on the couch looking down slowly. It just, but this looks like a super high tech balloon, so it's not quite what I would think from a
No, it's
uh
not super high tech. No,
it's
yeah,
not.
that's no, like the balloon, like it's a balloon tied to a bunch of strings with a viewing thing. It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't see
you're
anything.
physically inside the thing though. You're not riding in a basket.
No, you're physically inside. So like you're yeah, but no, it's not.
That's
I
what I
don't.
mean by high tech.
Okay, sorry. To me, this is low tech compared to a rocket ship.
Oh, absolutely. The capsule itself is designed to carry eight customers, two crew into the stratosphere. There will be a center bar where people can gather, and then, of course, there will be a bathroom aboard the capsule.
Let's get all the flat earthers on here.
Yeah, the balloon rides last about 6 hours. Most will reach heights of 15 to 19 miles above the Earth's surface, flying in an area known as the stratosphere. The start of space is generally accepted by the U.S. government about 80 kilometers or about 50 miles above the Earth's surface. So this is much lower than, say,
Yeah,
Blue Horizon or the other one.
SpaceX,
Thank you.
or what was the other one? What was the Bezos's one?
Bezos was Blue Horizon. It's the Virgin one that we don't
Oh,
know.
Virgin. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. Sorry,
I
that's
couldn't.
Richard
Yeah, it's all right. I
Branson.
just can't remember the name. It's been a while, but
Yeah,
how they go higher than this? Obviously, they're closer to the 50 to
yeah.
80-kilometer range.
I think they are. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but they're using rocket ships as opposed to this just using. I don't even know what gas they'd be putting in the balloon.
They say there's no universal definition of space. We are regulated as a spaceship. If we go over 98,000 feet, we are a spaceship. Outside the capsule is essentially a vacuum. We're above 99% of Earth's atmosphere, which is why the sky is so deep black.
Cool. I love it. I hopefully. Oh, what does it say? Tickets?
Ticket prices range from 50,000 per seat with Worldview to around 184,000 with Zavalto. I guess there's different companies. Space
That doesn't make sense to me. Wasn't SpaceX and those looking at doing theirs for 100 grand a seat?
yeah, 100 to 250 grand I saw depending on.
Yeah. So what's the point of this? I
That's
don't.
all assuming, I guess, because you're 6 hours rather than a few minutes.
I don't know.
Only Sofalto has performed crew tests so far, though not at the company's target altitude, about 15 miles above the Earth's surface.
Like if they can come in below 50,000, definitely makes sense. But who knows?
Yeah, so apparently this is a whole new thing, this stratosphere tourism.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool.
Would you do it?
Absolutely. If the price was below 50,000, yes.
I'm not playing the video because last time we did that, we got copyright struck. So now this looks like
Yeah,
somebody who
no.
would do that to us. So
Even though we're promoting.
yeah, it is what it is. That's okay. I'm the rules are the
So it
rules.
is.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
um the technology behind the balloons to the stratosphere is both fascinating and complex. You would figure that a balloon, would not be able to handle the pressure up there, but these balloons are typically made from polyethylene film, are filled with helium, which is less dense than air, allowing the balloon to rise, obviously, but it's really comfortable inside for passengers. I'm really curious as to they've got a decent emergency descent mechanism, advanced communication systems, backup oxygen systems.
Yeah.
So these sound pretty technology packed for a balloon.
Yeah. Let's hope there's a lot of fail safes in place. Obviously they're going to have to go through a lot of testing, a lot of certification, but yeah, this will be interesting.
And stratosphere tourism offers unique opportunity to see some of the world's most iconic landmarks. So this is another reason why you potentially do it. An
Okay, good, good,
entirely
cool.
new perspective. There's some of the top destination where high altitude adventures are offered are the Grand Canyon, the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, the Serengeti in Kenya, Aurora Borealis in Norway, and the Amazon rainforest in Brazil.
Interesting.
Those would be very interesting experiences and definitely different than what Blue Horizon and the Virgin offers.
For sure. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. But the price point's still too high for me.
Yeah, those prices are crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and the future of stratosphere tourism looks promising, with several companies pioneering new technologies and experience. Worldview and other innovators like Halo Space and Space Perspectives are leading the way, and each offering unique approaches to getting up to that 19-mile stratosphere range and stuff. So
Interesting.
I'm really looking forward to this. Seeing people doing this and seeing how effective it is.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to hop onto this next one?
Absolutely.
So on to this next one. Both NVIDIA, Anthropic, and Apple are using YouTube transcripts without permission. So to train their AI. So what's going
Yeah.
on here, John?
You know what? Like, boo hoo, YouTube. I'm sorry, but like, I'm sure YouTube uses other people's crap without their permission. Like, I'm sure, like, I'm sorry, but like, I get it. I get that there is controversy. But to me, it's in the public domain. So, like, if you have access to it in the public domain, why is this an issue to train your AI models? To me, it's more maybe YouTube wanting to get paid for it, but like to me, yeah. Sorry, I just that I'm a little heated about this one.
Yeah, and so the question becomes, here's the question. Who has the rights to take your and use
Exactly.
your voice, your thoughts, your transcripts? You upload them to YouTube, so you probably give them the right to do anything they want with them. But what about these other companies? It's like, Photo Bucket. You may
Yeah,
not be taking the pictures or uploading them, but you're the victim. So we have to sit back and say, all right, is there a victim here? Um, and do people have the right to say, wait a minute, I don't want you to use my videos
yeah,
or my content as training?
absolutely. When it comes down, if you look, if we're talking about the content creators themselves, 100%. But the problem is how do we track it? How do we ensure that people can keep track of who uses their data? Like I know there are potential solutions out there, but until we come up with a concrete solution that everyone's using, there's no way to do that. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think people are using all sorts of things and then they're getting caught. We talked last week or the week before about the music labels suing AI companies because they were sampling all their music and using it to train their AI. So the
Yeah,
question becomes is where does it stop?
exactly. Yeah, and like so and the question is this considered public domain data? Because if they can pull it from the internet, is this public data that can be used? um and I didn't read it fully. Is this YouTube that's saying this, or is this just someone figured, like someone that's writing this article figured out what's happening, or what is it?
Um Let me just see here.
Is it
I
YouTube that's whining about it, or
So this came up because of Marcus Brownlee started pointing this out.
okay,
Apple
I
has
like
sourced their data from AI from several companies. One of them scraped tons of data transcripts from YouTube videos, including mine. Apple technically avoids fault here because they're not the ones scraping. So they get a third party to scrape.
yeah,
They're scraping someone like Marcus Brownlee stuff, but this is going to be an evolving problem for a long time. So it's not just them doing it, but it's people like Marcus Brownlee are starting to pipe up and say, wait a minute, look what you're doing. A Google
yeah,
spokesman told Engadget that previous comments made by YouTube CEO Neil Mohan saying that companies using YouTube's data to train AI models would violate the platform's terms of service and still stand. That statement still stands.
yeah.
Apple, Nvidia, Anthropic, and even Luther AI did not respond for comment.
Yeah, so okay. So from a content creator perspective, yes, this is scary. This is worrisome. Be, but from a YouTube corporate perspective, yeah, sorry. So I jumped the gun thinking that this was YouTube saying whining that their data is being used. But yes, from a content creator perspective, 100%. The only problem is there's no solution for this. There's nothing in place. So this is just um, another reason why we need regulations in place. But at the end of the day, you have regulations in place, but you can anyone can still scrape data. Anyone can still scrape website data, things like that, right? So there needs to be some strict regulations if they're going to put them in place.
Absolutely. And the question is what? So
Exactly.
far, AI companies haven't been transparent about the data they use to train models. Earlier this month, artists and photographers criticized Apple for failing to reveal the source of training data for Apple Intelligence. The company owns spin on generative AI coming to millions of Apple devices this year. Um, Apple told 9 to 5 Mac that its open ELM model doesn't power any of its AI or machine learning features, including Apple Intelligence. Rather, the company said that the model is created strictly for research purposes. Previously, Apple stated that its Apple Intelligence models were trained on licensed data, including data selected to enhance specific features, as well as publicly available data
They're
collected by
just
our
going to
web
say
crawler.
whatever. That's the thing,
Yeah.
right? Like without them showing proof, even though they can even fake the proof, like they can say whatever they want.
Well, I think they caught it there where they're saying publicly available data collected by our web crawler.
Yeah.
So,
But anything's publicly available. Like the second you put it on the web, it's publicly
absolutely.
available.
Yep.
So
Earlier this year, OpenAI's chief technology officer evaded a question from Wall Street Journal about whether the company used YouTube videos to train Sora, OpenAI's upcoming AI video generation tool, saying, "I'm not going to go into details of the data that was used, but it was publicly available or licensed data." And same
yeah,
thing with Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai has Alphabet CEO Sundar Pichai. All right.
I can't
Isn't
remember.
that Microsoft?
No,
Uh,
that's what's that? No, um,
all right. Anyway, you're
oh, what's
right.
his name? The bald guy.
Yeah, I know. Has also said the companies using data from YouTube to train their AI models would violate the platform's terms of service. So, they're saying if you use our stuff, it violates our terms of service. Everybody says we're scraping publicly available data. And then we have artists or whoever owns their identity and content, people like Marcus Brownlee saying, hey, you're just stealing all my stuff and taking that to train your AI, so
Yeah,
people no longer watch me, you just feed up answers. Is that acceptable business practice?
definitely not. But at the same time, these companies are like, well, stop me, try and stop me. Like, it's definitely not good. It's definitely not ethical. Um, but there's nothing in place to stop them.
Yeah, and we just have to keep an eye on this stuff as AI keeps trying to rule the world, and everyone in such a rush to train their AI to do everything. How accurate it's going to be. When Google trained their AI on Reddit, we saw what happened there. Also, all the crazy stuff. So we just have to keep an eye on this. And who owns this information and what are people allowed to do? It's going to come to a head at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
So you think we have time to tackle this last one?
I don't think so. I got a hard stop. Let's leave it, and we'll leave it as a teaser for next time, though, because this is really cool. So, just quickly, there was new research that documents mysterious oxygen production without photosynthesis. So, that's just something to think about. No, those that know that in order, typically, you CO2 gets converted to oxygen through photosynthesis. So that's the only way that they thought. So this will be an interesting article to talk about.
Yeah, dark oxygen next week on Silicon Scoop and Future Tech. So you help people get with government funding. Where should they contact you?
Yeah, come find me on LinkedIn. That's the best way. If you message me, I'll give you my Calendly. We can set up a time. Actually, I can even share the Calendly link on here next time. We'll create that. But yeah, I help people get non-dilutive funding, which is grants and tax credits and things like that. But if you're looking for dilutive funding, Craig can also help with that. Craig's a great startup coach as well for everything else for your business.
Yeah, if you're looking for help with your business, go to startupcoach.ca, book a discovery call. We can talk about what it would be like to working together and if it makes sense. For everything else, for the Silicon Scoop, the Future Tech podcast, all our upcoming events, go to torontostarts.com. There's new content there every day. Sometimes lots of new content every day. So definitely go check that out.
Absolutely.
All right, until next time. Thanks a lot,
Thanks so
John.
much. Thanks, Craig. Bye, guys.